I'm working at Toverland. I'm a project coordinator and a building engineer. I made the base of all the buildings underneath all the teaming that went to a contractor and now we build. I will take you a little bit into the design process about how we plan a big area, and I will take a little bit in depth about the Magische magic store and the ruin of Merlin in Avalon. I explain a lot about building photos. You can ask questions in the end if I'm not clear during the presentation. Please interrupt. I will try to explain. Then I will start with Laguna, our new entrance area. We had the first drawings of this area are from 2012, before we finished the Magical Valley. Peter, together with the direction, decides, well, this is the next step for Toverland. Then they are trying to figure out and to calculate what's the logical step, what do we need, separate from what do we want. Then we start with a Google Maps image in this case, and this isn't the first drawing, but this is one of the drawings we actually used to develop the area. You can see a big entrance square, the main shape of the Laguna with all the facilities around it, a big podium location, a couple of buildings, and we switched them during the process. We started with this, then we managed, Peter made a visual sketch, and this is the base together with plans for managers. How do we want everything? We have, in this case, the magic shop is still here, but during the process, you will see it later on. It has been placed here and back there, and I will explain later why. But the main and the format of the area is as it is. Well, then from that sketch we start designing and making the buildings, and then we start designing the area. This is a 3D sketch we made together with a landscaping architect. You already see here the building on the left side. When we were designing it, we were placing it at the base of the Manana, and together with the managers and everybody, well, we needed there to have the food and beverage. That's a reason why we did mirror the complete building. You will see it later on. And then we finalize when we know what we're going to build in a nice visual sketch that we can bring out. And it still gives us some inspiration during the building, but also for the future. What is the feeling of this area and how do we want to develop it? Then some photos from during the build. Here we are working on the pond in the middle and the terraces. You can see the buildings are taking shape, but there is no teaming on it yet, because we first built a watertight building, and then we get another contractor to make it look like it does. And then, nearly at the end of our, it's now a nice area. As it's placed now outside. Then the magic shop. As I said, it was placed where it's now, but mirrored. You can see the square tower on the back, and the round on the front is different from now. This is the first design, first idea, with a base plate, with a floor plan. We discussed with the manager, what do you need, what do you want? If you have a shop this big, how many square foot of storage do you need? In this case, we are comparing a show and a shop together, so we need a dressing room, maybe a toilet or a shower, and that's all need to be fitted inside the building. That still looks like it does. So as you can see, the main building is fairly normal shape, and then the round tower is added later. So that makes the building a little bit easier, and then you can still make something beautiful, but still doable. Then the third sketch of this building, we have two of them, this one and the back. I think the front is nicer. Here you can see also the tower is placed on the right. This is the first sketch. From this sketch on, we went back to 2D to make facade drawings. And from there on, we go to 3D and into the model, and then place around with the design. Back. Then from the 3D drawing, we go to this model. Under here is the base structure, and then also, like we are building outside, added of theming. Still, it looks a bit flat because it's a sketch drawing. And from here on, we have another drawer make the nice pictures from inside the 3D model of the landscaping. Then the nice drawings, as you know, and as with these drawings we go to the contractors. This is what we want. Can you make this? And they say yes, of course. Then, when we have the drawings, we have the building plans, we know what we want to do. Then you need to find a contractor and see if the contractor can make what we want. So we go to the contractors. We say, can you make a starting piece so we can see if this is the quality we want, if this is the looks we want, if we need to change it a little bit in color, maybe in shapes. From this piece on, we decided to go with this contractor or another, and we had several contractors to make some pieces like this. Then we start building. We start with the foundations. Just 1 year earlier, it was all grass or gravel. Then we started building. Then there you can already see the building shape can in place. We go up some walls. Then the building I need to see is fairly here. It's an overall view. You can see it has a flat roof at this point, the big window in the front, the small windows on top. That's the building as it is, and everything from here is theming. Because I'm a building engineer, I don't have much pictures of the theming being added. Here's a little bit better photos. And then 1 month before opening, we had this, a building with a little bit of theming. We still need some rooftops. And this is how we had it done. Within the opening, we had 59% of the building done. We added some drawings, pictures later, and that's how we develop our magic shop in this case. We start with something and we add as we can. Then I move on to Avalon. With Phoenix, our B&M coaster, the ruin of Merlin and Merlin's Quest. First there, we start also with a drawing. This is one of the first drawings we did with B&M to develop the track doors. Our direction team went to different wing coasters to decide what do we want in our coaster. Does it need to be fast? What kind of elements do we want? How many inversions do we want? B&M, what can we do with the place we have? So we start to discuss with them, well, this is our somewhat the track layout, what kind of elements do we want, and is this possible? Then B&M starts designing and engineering, and you get a 3D model without comments in this case. Here you can see this is one of the first 3D of the area. It looks a lot like it's now, but doesn't feel it. It's also a lot changed. And then we end up with a nice 3D model of our landscaping architect. And this is how we have built it. Merlin's room. One of the first sketches as the building is now. Also here, we had a lot of sketches before, but because of reasons, because of decisions, we ended up with this. That doesn't make the other sketches less important. They are still a vision maybe for the future, maybe not, but they are all inspired to come here. How we start? We start with the building in 3D, and then Peter is going to let his imagination loose and starts drawing, starts creating. How can I turn this building into the living room, and it's now outside. One of the first sketches of the tower in the middle. And when Peter is designing this, he's already thinking about how is it possible to make this, how can we make this into a shape. The head is flowing, but how do we do this? Well, together with me and the rest of the team, we try to think about possibilities to make this. In this case, we choose for a steel column in the middle, like a windmill, and then we had a couple of brackets on top that form the roots. There are more roots added as steel structure in there, and then the head is on top. It's a fairly simple cone, and basically then beams again added. Here is one of the sketches we built, continuing on the section cut. And this is how we managed to make it. Then the building. The building is fairly complicated because all of Avalon is integrated in this building. The water level, because of Merlin's quest, goes under the entrance area, square. The shop is on top of it. We had clearances of the boat we needed to calculate. So if we raised the water level, which we did because of groundwater, the complete building, also the beam and coaster, that all changed. So in front, we have the dark ride. On that corner, we have the shop. Then on top, we have the coaster station with the U-turn and the dark ride section with the dragon. You see the Tower of Merlin, you can see in the queue line. And then this space here is our new maintenance area, because the current maintenance area was getting too small. With a B&M coaster that's 5.5 meters wide, you need also a big door of 6 meters to get it in and out when possible. And now our mechanics are working here on all the trains of Toverland, and they have a lot of extra space, so we can all store it inside and have it all laid out. Then, when we started, it was a nice problem. Unfortunately, to build a Attractiepark, you need to cut some. Then this is the place where the back of the station is. At the end of the ascending road, there is now the facade. We needed to dig out a lot of ground, so you can place a building on steel, we call it, it's on sand, or on poles. Well, the building is placed on steel, but the coaster is built on poles. Because of the the train weighs 16.5 tons when going around empty. When you go to a coaster designer like B&M or like any other, you buy an engineering package and you buy a coaster, but you need to do your foundation calculations your own, or with a constructor. You need to find a contractor who can make the foundations. You need to find a contractor who gets set up the coaster. In this case, we did some ground research also in the which we made clear. And then we needed poles. That's pretty unique here in the south of the Netherlands. This is mostly done in Amsterdam. It was a big challenge for us because we didn't calculate with poles. The complete market is tight. If I would order some poles now, I would have them next year. We needed them within 3-4 months. We had luck with our contractors, who had another contractors or a network, and this machine was planned for another project, but that was cancelled, so we had luck and we could use them. We still have massive blocks of concrete in the ground, but else they would have been 3, 4, 5 times bigger. Then this is one of the first holes going down. It just forces them into the ground. At my head, they were around 14 meters long. And they are going 1 to 2 meters below ground level. And then on top of there, multiple poles got connected with concrete blocks of around 4 meters, 5 meters wide, of long, 1 meter to 2 meters wide, and 1 to 2 meters high. And on top of that, we have the concrete you see on out of the ground, and that's 1 by 1 by 1. So there's a lot of steel and concrete going into the ground for a coaster. Here you can see the U-turn into the station building. And because we use 2 different types of foundation, that isn't a problem for the building, but when we get an earthquake, that could result in the coaster standing still and the building maybe a little bit shaking. So that's, luckily we don't have a lot of earthquakes here. This is the lift one, the lift hill base. That's on an angle, 45 degrees. And here you can see this is the foundation that goes on top of the pole, which still is mainly into the ground. This is the tunnel in the forest, if I'm correct. Yes. And also it's, tunnels are 8 meters wide. And also there we need a lot of work. This is the one near the boathouse, inside the lake. And here we connected a couple of foundations of the coaster, including the one outside the tunnel, to give it more strength, and so we needed less concrete. Then the dark ride, a big concrete slab, 35 centimeters thick. With 35 centimeters concrete gets watertight. In the lake we have only 50 centimeters of concrete, but we have foil underneath to get it watertight. So here we needed also strength for the building as a foundation, so that's why we choose here for the thicker one. And in the lake it's the Northern Quest. You can roll that onto glass. Starting walls, big machines, a lot of concrete, a lot of fun. Then we are a couple of weeks further. When the concrete was in, that was took 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then people would still came, and within 2 weeks we had a building with a roof. Unfortunately, after that it started raining, and with rain comes snow. First elements, January, flying in through the roof. We planned to do everything at once, but because the heaviest piece, the transport piece, out of my head, 8 to 12 tons complete, needed to be lifted through the roof, because you can't move it in from the side of the building. It's too heavy for that. So here is the pictures of the inside. Also here, a big hole in the building because of the Tower of Millions Quest. It's a tower of 10 meters high. Then the sheet metal of the roof, it's so thin you can see through it from below. Then there's placed isolation on the wall. They're 0.2 millimeters thick, but you can just walk on them. It's, one of the first times I saw this, I was amazed, like, whoa, you can see through the roof when there's nothing on it. Then the buildings get closed. Here is the overhead door, 6 meters wide, 4 meters high. In case we need to get Phoenix out, it can be done with a forklift or something. It's also possible to drive a truck in and load it with the overhead crane directly on the truck. That's to a technical department about how we want to do it. Then March, we started building the coaster. If I'm correct, we started building it brake section, lift hill, and then brake section back up. That's all in a manual B&M. You get also a supervisor from B&M, and he's there to guide the park, so to make sure that contractor builds the coaster as prescribed by them. So you get a V&M that is as smooth as it is, that all the joints are sanded. And a little fun fact, they told me the reason why they sand all the joists is because the straight tracks are bought in America and welded in America. The curved track, the rail, is bought in Europe, bended in Europe, shipped to America, placed on the rail, and then as a complete track to place shipped back. Also, a V&M is built inside a factory, like completely but separate. They start building track element 1, they move it aside, then they build track element 2, and they fit it to track element 1. When that fits, they break them loose, they move in, and they start to track element 3. So this all to make sure every track fits to each other and is placed and as smooth as it can. So the track is from America, the columns from Hungary, the trains from France, and you buy it from Swiss. Highest point, April. A big relief of the project, a big proud moment for us all. I went up there the first day with Paul and Jacques, and when we were standing up, well, it was all going well, but the railings weren't welded to the track, so they were bolted very well, so it was a bit scary and tough. But it was a nice feeling to be at 30 meters high. Then Merlin's Tower. Here you can see we placed it in front of the building first, then we teamed it with spray concrete, and after this we placed it on top with a big crane. And also here is flying 8 to 10 hours. And with this we had a little fun fact. We placed it in front of the entrance square, and everybody thought it was in the right position, but we needed to turn it. To have it angled at the right place, like we discussed with the construction engineer, and also to have it right place to have the look we want. Then the first round of Phoenix. It took more than an hour to get it out of the storage. Why? Because it has never been out of the storage before. If we wanted to take it around that way, it took with my head 45 minutes to get it out. But when it flew, it was amazing, and we did well. Well, this is my story, and I hope there are a lot of questions online. Anybody? Thank you.
Who did the decision that you build a wing coaster?
That's the decision of Jacques Jr. with Paul, technical director, and with senior. That's something they decided, they thought of, when looking for another one. But every big expansion we do, we try to seek something new. With Magical Valley, it was the music and the Wunderwald, with Troy, the wing coaster, the longest one. And with this, the first and the longest wing coaster, the first in Benelux and the longest one of Europe. Well, how they decided, I don't know. They think of something, they try to investigate, is it possible, and when they think they do, or they know 90% sure, they go for it and they put everything and everything, 100, 200% to make something work. And then that's when you get a one coaster.
Thank you. I think it was a great decision.
Yeah, we all did. It had cost us a lot of time. Not in what do you say? With all the engineering, with all the things. We went to Park to see there to talk with the technical department, and the head of the technical department said, "Well, you have a year to build a wind coaster." Well, that's possible. There's a lot of time. We were thinking, okay, because they did it in 9 months from scratch to a theme park, to a coaster. But for us, this is Attractiepark is a new big one, and yeah, well, it was a nice fun. It took a lot of time. It was fun to do. Any other ones? Now I'm here.